Who are in the online. Am I audible? Those who says good evening, I am also saying good evening. So now I will start the discussion. So previously, we completed multi-threading, and today we are going to start another concept, network programming. So we start with network programming. Also called socket programming. This is socket programming. Okay. So let us start with network programming or socket programming. So as a part of that, what I am going to discuss, as a part of this coding, as a part of this subject, what I am going to discuss. Rajaniti is asking, sir, we finished. Oops. No, oops, not yet finished. We will complete it. Next year I will complete. Next year or above year I will complete it. You are in first year now. Second year, third year, fourth year, like that. After holidays, after holidays I will complete. Okay, Rajanish, Rajanit, my dear student. So next, what is networking? Please come to Hyderabad once. What is networking? Purpose of networking. Be serious now. Come to the point. Purpose of networking. Purpose of networking. I will go to next definition of networking. Of course, definition of networking. Definition of network. Next, I'll go for steps for module name. Module name required for module name required for developing networking applications. Module name required for developing networking applications, and module name required for developing networking applications. Socket. We call it as a socket. Socket. Next, we will discuss module name required for developing networking applications. Socket. And functions in socket module. Functions in socket module. And before that, I will go for steps for developing networking applications. There I will go for first one, development of client server side applications. Next, second one is development of client side applications. And module name required for developing networking applications, functions in socket module. And this is first part of it. This I will discuss today. Next up, programming examples on networking. There I am talking about first category, two-tier applications. Second, three-tier applications. This is what I'm going to discuss. This is a coding related to. Go into this now. So going to the here, I'll go to this place. So Farhana, good evening, sir. Chart for everyone option not showing, sir. Chart for everyone option is disabled because of various things has taken up in the morning batches. We disabled that because when we have chart for everyone, people are charting, inter-charting they are doing. So we found that and we catched those two people. That's why we removed from the meeting. So chat for everyone is a very danger. That is not permitted in my class. Because my students will not do, because all students are not good students. Some of the wrong students also will be there. They are charting by themselves. We found them, and the backend team found that, and we disabled the chat for everyone. You have to chat with the faculty only. Okay. So let us start networking. So introduction to what? Networking I am going to discuss. So start. What do you mean by network? What is the use of networking? Can anybody can share your views? Anybody else can share your views? Start. Try to start. Start. So start, everybody. What is the use of networking? What it means? What is the use of that? How it is going to be sending the messages from one place to another place? Through the beauty of what? Network. Through the beauty of network. So what is the use of network? The purpose of network programming in any of the program, this topic is available in C++, is available in C++, is available in Java, is available in Python, is available in C#.NET. But this coding was already outdated in the software field as on today. This is already outdated. Why I am teaching in the Python level, still it is available. So, because those who are learning IoT, IoT, IoT. So, that time this module called a socket is useful. That's why I'm discussing this thing. I can say this is outdated. I'm not explaining, I can say, but you are going to get this concept in IoT. Who knows, further you may start working on IoT also. Correct or not? So that's why I just want to tell you this network programming. Sir, why Python programming also? Because this networking, Python networking extension is what? Django. Python extension is Django. And a Java related extension is Serlets. Serlets. Next is called what you know? JSP. JSP. This kind of server side technologies came. This also came into the picture. Here I'm going to enter into the Python level networking. We are entering into that by keeping DevOps, cyber security, IoT, that type of programming is concerned. I'm going to enter into that. It doesn't mean that sir will explain IoT kind of information here. For collaborating, for establishing the communication between multiple hardware devices through the sensors programming, we use IoT programming. That is the simplest meaning of what? IoT. IoT means collaborating or establishing communication between multiple hardware devices, communicating to each other through some sensors kind of things is called IoT. Suppose if you are a big businessman, if you come in your car to your home, gates will open automatically. You will enter. When you go to your main door will open. When you go to your washroom, lights will on, geyser will on. These are all called what? All home appliances are interacting to each other and starts functioning. That is known as what? IoT programming. Okay, now first you learn Python programming. IoT programming will come automatically. It's not a big deal. I'm saying it's a damn sure it will happen that. Coming to the point back, what is the use of network programming? I'm writing here. So as on today, networking is useful for sharing the data between multiple devices, whether they are located in the same network or located in different networks. Take banking. Earlier, how banking operations used to do when we were the students, we need to take exam branch, DD we need to take. That day we have to stop going to the college, we have to go to the bank, we have to stand in the line. 3-4 hours we have to stand in the line. Then after 4 hours, we need to give a slip there. And then we will get a manual slips they will write. Now it is going to be happening what? We can pay the money through online itself. What is that concept is called? Through wide varieties of networking applications, we can share the data anywhere else across the universe. So what is the use of network programming? What is the use of network programming? The purpose of network programming is, carefully listen, the purpose of network programming, the purpose of network programming is that to share the data, to share the data or what? Information, to share the data or information between multiple devices. The purpose of network programming is that to share the data or information between multiple devices which are located either in same network, either in same network or in different network across universe, universe. This is the perfect meaning of purpose of network programming. Come on, read out all of you. The purpose of network programming is that to share the data or information between multiple devices which are located either in same network or in different networks across the universe. So one bank ATM card, a customer can withdraw the money from any of the other ATMs. Earlier they have a restriction that only from that ATMs only you need to withdraw. If you have any idea about it, you have any idea? SBI means only SBI only need to withdraw up to last 10 years. Now you can withdraw from any bank, any kind of thing you can go for it according to RBI guidelines. SBI is having its own network. Union Bank will have its own network. Everybody is having its own network. Anybody can interact the data with from any of the banking. Understood? That's all. So coming to the point of it, what is the definition of network? First, this is a very, very important to share the data. So earlier, how the people used to share the data before this computing, before this networking, people used to carry the manual files from one location to another location. Manual files. Hyderabad to AP they want to go. Night they will go in a bus. Next day will come. That is called what? Manual messenger. Person will go personally by handovering that and get the reply back to it. Nowadays, what is happening? Mails. Through apps, through applications, we can exchange the data. Through which concept? Network. So tell me, what is the definition of network? You take another way. This is called your SBI. You have an account in, this is called central located place of SBI. And across the Hyderabad, across the India, lot of SBI branches are there. A friend of you can keep your money in any of the SBI accounts. So that is reflected in your XYZ branch office. Any person can put the money from anywhere, but you can transfer the money to any of the SBI customer. Right or not? That is happening through what? Networking. So if we come to a small diagram, I'm talking purely about the subject of network. In CSC background, if you take a CSC background, there is a subject called what? Networks are there. There is a subject called what? Networks. Network programming. In that, studied up BTech CSC students. Anybody? That is a different story. They will not be there. In my class, all mechanical, civil, electronics, only those people will be there. So coming to the point back, if I take it, this is the one I'm taking. This is small example, you take it. You started an organization. So you are having a centrally located head office is there in Amirpet. This is your main device. This is head office. Head office is there in Amirpet. In this place, this is the software you installed it. Head office, that's there. All working operations are going on. You have a lot of branch offices. Are there across the Hyderabad, across the Telangana state. You have a lot of branch offices. So you established communication with all the branch offices to your HOD. This is head office. So what is happening there? This is communicating with all these devices. This is having the communication. Plus, they are having interconnection with what? Other devices also. This is the communication with it. They are having the communication with what? Each device also they are having the communication. They are also interconnected to each other. So coming to that, interconnected to each other. This is called as what? Server mission. Server is not a hardware. People are talking server, it is a hardware. They are thinking that it is a software. But server is not a hardware. Server is called what? Suppose you are there. Who are you? Python, Java, .NET. How do you become? By birth, there is no Python here. Depends on the topics which you are learning. You will become Python, Java, .NET. That means depends on the type of software which I am installing on you, that machine will become that kind of device. Correct or not? Like that. How do you make a system as server? This is known as what? Another machine here. Client 1. This is called client 1. Here I am going to take it. Client 2, this is. This is called client 3. Client 3 is nothing but I am just taking in terms of what? Organization point of it. Client 4. Here I am taking it as a client 5. Here I am taking it as a client 6. Here I am taking it as a client 7. This I am going to take it as a client 8. So all of them are interconnected to each other, and finally they connected with what? Server. Sometimes LIC you take it, insurance you take it. Suppose if I have an insurance policy in my relative is an agent who took an LIC policy in my hometown. I'm paying my LIC in any one of the Hyderabad offices. Sometimes when we go to that Amirpet office, they will say, sir, server is down, come after 1 hour. That means they are interacting my branch office through server only. Understood this point? If I take any policy in the same place, they will take the transactions in the same branch office, they can pay immediately. Through this branch I am paying here. That is nothing but networking to work. When the network is possible, then only data can be communicated. Are you following me? All the organizations nowadays are networked to each other. Why the networking is required? To share the data between multiple devices. Come on now. What is the network definition? I will give you. What is this is known as? Once again, I'll give a knowledge. What is this is called? Server. What these are all called? Interconnected. What these are all called? How do you define in your good English? Collection of interconnected, and these client and these clients are going to have self-startup capability. And when the server start, client will start. There is no such rule. Clients can start by themselves without working server also. Why? To take the in-house operations to perform. What is the clients? Should have autonomous capability. What is the autonomous capability? To take in-house decisions, to take in-house operations. What is that? Collection of interconnected autonomous computers connected with server for communicating to each other across the multiple networks. So what is the definition of network? Come on. Definition of Definition of what? Network. Come on, answer my question. Definition of network I am going to take up. What is the definition of network? Come on. Collection of interconnected, autonomous, so autonomous computers connected with server, for exchanging or for sharing the data, between multiple devices, which are located either in the same network or in where, which are located either in the same network or in where different networks. Are you able to follow? This is about the concept of what? Definition of network. Understood? Now, okay, this is done. So don't add your own English to my subject. You define as it is like this. And I explained also to you. You take your home mission. You have a active fiber network. You took a connection. What is that? Your system connected to active fiber net server. You are going to interact with any person or not? Your system is having interconnected autonomous activity, which is connected with active fiber net for communicating with any of the devices which are located in same network or in different networks. Okay, right. If you are pure good student in computer science, there is a subject called what? ISO OSI reference model is there. Physical layer, transport layer, session layer, there are layers are there. Do you know that? Studied, but forget, because sir will say network layer means network layer, session layer means session layer, finished. So at least when the data is transmitting from one device to another device, how these layers are working, at least they have to write a coding. How these 7 layers are acting, how the packet is disseminating or transmitting from one device to another device. They should have the structure of the packet of data communication. Anyhow, students, whatever days has gone, leave it. And we are coming to the modern programming, try to enjoy. So this is a network. So I'm taking here 2 things. So far we have written how many programs? One program only we have written. One program only we have written. That is, one program only we are writing and we are executing. Today we are writing what? 2 programs. 3 programs we are writing. Sir, how? You take an example of results announcement by the government of India or government of your concerned state. How do you verify? They released in minutes. You can immediately verify your results. Just tell me, how do you go for it? www.tsgovt.in.ac, the corresponding website. Immediately what you will get it? Hyperlink is that. You will click on that, enter hall ticket number. The moment when you enter hall ticket number, what is that is called? HTML form. When you click on that, that request will go to server side. Django code you will write. Django will follow what? MVT architecture. That flow, if you understand, Django is a dead easy. Dead easy and dead easy. Python is difficult in front of that. Dead easy Django is. A person should have clarity about it. If they mix everything and telling, people will not get it. So for every subject, there is some system is there to teach. In what way student will understand? First of all, they need to go for it. First we have to ask a student, how do you pay the fees in the school? There onwards, Django will start. How a student will go and pay the fees in the school? From there you have to start. From there, Django will start. From there, you have to go for what? Hosting your website in the internet websites. There you have to reach. That is the subject. Anyhow, coming to the network. So what I'm trying to say? HTML form is coming, enter the hall ticket number. The moment when you enter hall ticket number and if you click that request will go to where? Server side. That is called a Django program. Inside of that, we will write the Python code only with the HTTP protocol related modules. HTTP means what? Is a acknowledgement stateless protocol. With that, you will use some modules. You will write connect to what? Database, either MySQL or Oracle. You will connect. And my request, what is the hall ticket number sent? Will send it to whom? Database, and bring the records. That entire records I will send it to the browser in the form of a table. Your total marks memo with marks and everything will give the official seal of that government. Everything will be downloaded. That is called three-tier architecture. Browser involved, server-side program involved, database is also involved. That is what I am talking about, the three-tier application. Even that application also I will tell you through networking of this Python. Now two-tier application, I will enter a single value that will go to the server. Server will not contact to database. Server will give the directly response. That is called what? Two-tier application. Understood? That example anyhow I will tell you. First let me complete this task. Okay. Come to the point of it. Network is done. You understood the meaning of it. So to develop any networking application, to develop any networking application, to develop any networking application, but to develop any networking application, we develop two types of programs. They are number one. Tell me, two types of programs are required. Chatting with you, or I am chatting with you. How many apps are communicating? Two. What are those? When I am talking to you, you are my server. When you are talking to me, I am a server. That means one person is definitely a client. One person is definitely in my class. I am teaching to you. I am a server and you are my student, client. Suppose when you are teaching, you are a server. I am a client. When I am calling to my friend is called what? Server. I am called what? Client. So what is that? Number one, server side application. Server side application. Second one is called what? Client side application. Client side application. Second is called what? Client side application. Client side application. There are two types of applications we can develop. One is called what? Client side application. One more is server side application. Now I am going to tell you what is the definition of client side server side application. What is the definition of client side application? I just want to go for it. Client side application I want to tell you. Server side application I want to tell you. So let us start understanding about client side application and server side applications. Let us take an example. Look at students, I'll take one more type of diagram. Carefully try to understand. This I am going to take up. Here I am going to write it. This is one of the machine. This is another type of machine. This is another type of machine. There I am going to write it. This is a mission M1. This is a mission M1. This is called another type of thing. Mission M2 I'm taking here. This is what I'm going to take it. Mission 2. This is called client side application. This is called program 1 I'm writing. Client side app, client side application. This is known as what you know. Server side application we can call. Server side application we can call. So client side application is going to send what? Tell me. Is going to send what? Request. And a server side application will receive the request and process that request and gives response back to the client side. This type of communication will happen over the network. This type of communication will happen over the network. So this is comes under network. This is comes under the network. What I'm going to say, the client is making what? Request. And this is going to give you what? Response. How two people are communicating? That is an example of what? Networking application. How a teacher and student is responding, it is called what? Networking application. So in the networking, any kind of request response model is nothing but example of networking application. Are you following? Are you following? Following what I said? Not following. You are thinking somewhere. Stand up once. What I said? Stand up. Keep the button. Tell me. Hindi, Telugu, Telugu. Stand up, I said. Telugu or Hindi? Telugu. That's what. Tell me what I said. నేను ఏం చెప్పానో అది చెప్పమని అడుగుతున్నా, కూర్చోమని చెప్పాల. What I said? Thinking somewhere, correct? Thinking somewhere. Where? Why weather report, morning raining, afternoon, something like that. Thinking like that. Listen, ma, listen. Sit down. Sit down. Listen. Carefully listen. So I'm going to take up all the way you came to the class. Listen. Okay, now I'll ask 10 questions at the end of the class. Be careful. Listen. 10 questions compulsory I will ask you. So if you don't answer, you will be here next day up to this time. You will be here only. No food, nothing will be given. So be careful. Answer my question. What is the client side application? A client side application is a Python program, because I am writing in Python code. A client side application is a Python program which always reads the data from the keyboard, which send the data to whom? Server side application, and gets the result from where? Server side application. In other way, server side application definition, a server side application is one which receives the request from where? Client side, process that request and gives response back to the client. This is called what? Server side quality and client side quality. Best example, as a teacher, I will receive your doubt. I'll process your doubt and I'll give answer to you. That is called response. Your friend is asking a question to you. That is called what? Request. What you will do? You will understand that request and you will process it and you will tell the answer. That is called what? Response giving. Understood that? Tell me, what is the meaning of server side application? Tell me, definition of server side application. A server side application is one because our concepts are building stones for writing the coding. A server side application is one which is always receives the request, always receives the request, comma what? Process the request and gives response back to what? Client side program. Response back to the client side program. This is called what? Server side application. A server side application is one which is always receives the request from whom? Client side program, receives the request from client side program and process the request and gives response back to the client side program. This is called what? Client side application. Now server side application, client side application. Tell me, a client side application is one. A client side application is one which is always send what? Request to whom? Server side program and gives and obtains response from A client-side application is one which is always send request to server-side program and obtains response from server-side program. Server-side program. This is a definition of what? Client-side. So after that, this is the first you observe this diagram. First you try to observe this diagram. This is called what? Client-side application. Send a request to this place. It will process it and gives response back to the client-side application. This is a definition part is completed. When you extend this definition, you go to the another part of it. This is what is happening here. Database is also there here. There is a database is also there. Who is communicating with what here? A server-side application is communicating with that. A server-side application is communicating. This is called a database. This examples also I will tell you in the next level. This is called a database. So my server-side application is interacting with what? Is interacting with what? Database. Database. And a server-side application is going to get this data. It is getting this data like this. So here it is available and this is going to be getting the data back. So look at this. This is called a three-tier application. It is called. This you can extend it with what? Python with a Django also you can apply. And Python with Django is going to be there. People will think when Django completed, I will get the job. But it's nice. You will get it. But to provide the strongness to the strongness to that application, there is a Python design patterns also came these days. Python design patterns. So I have that content with me. Always you must be regular in touch with the subject. So Python KVR full stack Python design patterns. Python full stack Matplotlib. This is comes under Django course content. After this Django course content, module 1, module 2, so many modules, creating a website project and hosting that models, applying filters and everything, going to the place of it. There is a Django REST API is also there. REST API. REST API is also there. REST API is authentication, how to provide, the filters, how to provide, mixins, how to provide, pagination, how to provide. Pagination means what? Do you know pagination? In the website, your inbox is there now. This after seeing some mails here, you have some like this will be there or not? What is this is called? Going to forward or backward. That is called what? Pagination. How to develop such type of pagination applications in my browser? How to open my inbox through Django? These are all called ultimate things. Routers, serializers, token authentication with a Django REST framework. Using Django framework, AngularJS and frontend, how to communicate with AWS. Cloud, how to communicate with Django with cloud. It is course content. This is a course content. This you have to deliver in the class. Along with that, to provide more strongness to the application as on today, industry is using Python design patterns. Python design pattern, open link singleton design pattern, factory design pattern, classification of design pattern, builder design pattern, prototype design pattern, facade design pattern, object oriented design pattern, observer design pattern, Python anti design pattern. These are the design patterns in Python. These are already there in the Java design pattern. That is something somewhat different. So this is the subject. Always upgradation is required in subject. What is going on in the industry? We need to always update by ourselves. So night 11:30, 12 o'clock, you should go on reading only. Night 12 o'clock by taking bedsheet and watching YouTube like that, that will not give anything. That will give what? Unemployment only. So when you have some life of human being to do some useful work daily, at the end of the day, when you are going to bed, you write one conclusion. Today, what good work I did? What good work you did today so far? Any such question you do daily? Today onwards, at least you do it. That is my request to everybody. Okay. So coming to the point of it now, Coming to the point of it, I will enter into the place. Okay. So when I show all these things, generally student will ask, sir, when can I have your Django batch? That's why most of the time I don't show you that. Because they will ask me when your Django batch will start. So coming to the point of it. So coming to the point of it. So coming to this area, I will move to the further. So this is a server side application, client side application, and this is done. Now I will go to the further. Now I'll go to the further. After finishing that, see this diagram carefully. Database communication example also you will come across. After finishing that, how can we go for communicating with the server? How can you go for communicating with the server? How can you go for developing this? Some definitions I want to cover. Shall I cover the definitions? So number one, definition of DNS. Definition of DNS. Next, definition of IP address. Definition of IP address. Definition of IP address. Definition of IP address. Definition of port number. Port number. Definition of port number. Now, these definitions I want to speak about it so that we are ready to go for the importance of coding. Start. What is DNS? Have you heard about DNS in my class? What is it? Huh? You are reading that what I am typing. What students? When you say full form, na, when you define full form, I'll get so much angry and I feel that that candidate is just like a, I don't want to tell that. I feel that just like a, I don't want to tell. So come to the point back. What is next? DNS. Come on, already explained. Where in PDBC, I already said to you. The DNS is the name of the physical machine. 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 Where server side program resides. Where server side program resides. Where server side program resides. So when you want to make your server side program, definitely I have to choose one physical machine. So that in that I will install my program, which is having the quality of what? Receiving the request, processing the request, and gives response. Such a type of quality program, when I install in the physical machine, that will become as a server machine. Understood that? Now, the default DNS of every computer, the default DNS of every computer is localhost. What is localhost? Default DNS of every computer. Well, IP address. IP address. What is IP address? What is IP address? What is IP address? మనకేం తెలియదు. Very deaf and dumb candidates. What is IP address? IP address is one of the numerical address of the physical machine where my server side program resides. Where I said, you may think sir did not explain because you are Ghazni number 1. Go to that 6 p.m. and say here Python with Oracle, and there it is available. Python communication with what? Steps for developing Python communication with that. There it is called what? What is DNS? DNS stands for domain naming service, and the DNS response name of the physical machine where database software resides. Default DNS of every computer, localhost. Such a beautiful notes. When I see the notes, I want to read out. Lines, sentence by sentence, like a small kids level, I wrote it. IP address stands for, the IP address is a physical represents physical address of the machine where database software resides. Address means what? A numerical value. So if you are a famous person in Amirpet, I'll tell your name. They will tell that, okay, go to this way. Suppose if you are not a famous person, I will say what? Send your address. So I will reach to your house with the address. If you are a famous person, I will reach with your name. Correct. So when I want to send a request to my server machine, I need to know either machine name or machine address I require. Similarly, go to the place. The default IP address of every computer is 127.0.0.1, which is called loopback address. Understood that? To become a software developer, you don't want any total 70 computer subject to pass. You hardly require 5 months to become a software engineer. You need not to study 4 years BTech, need not write semester 1, semester 2, all semesters need not to write. If you work hard for 5 to 6 months, you will get perfect knowledge. So come to the point of it. So I'm going to take up what is an IP address? The IP address represents the IP address is one of the numerical address of physical machine where server side program resides, where database software resides, because I am addressing what? Server side. Even database also can reside, no problem. Okay. Now the default IP address of what? Physical machine. The default IP address of physical machine is 127.0.0.1. The default IP address of the physical machine is what? 127.0.0.1, which is known as what? Loopback address. Loopback address we can call. This is about the default IP address of the physical machine. Next, I will go to the definition of what? Port number. What is the port number? I'm just going to give you. Okay. Take an example. This is our college. Online students, is it understandable? So, is it understandable? Come on, everybody try to understand. Go to that. Don't need not to worry about your networking, all these things. Just remember my words. You will get perfection. So now I will go to take an example. This is your college. XYZ college. This is called what? In that room number 1, room number 2, room number 3, room number 4. Like that, multiple rooms are available. And this is your XYZ college. And address is also there. And the candidate want to go to the college. ECE student is going college. CSC student is going to the college. AIML student is also going to the college. AIML also going to the college. So ECE student will go to the same local host only. This person also will go to the same college only. After reaching to the same DNS, same IP address, they are entering into what? Different room numbers they are going. That room numbers where the class is running is called port number. What is the port number? Everybody is coming to Naresh IT. Everybody is coming. Their room numbers are differing. That room number is called what? Port number. Port number is not fixed. Port number, I can change it for security concerns also. What is the port number? A port number is a numerical ID where your server side program runs. Residing location is called what? DNS or IP address. Running location is called port number. What is the port number? మీకు డెఫినేషన్ ప్రిపేర్ చేయడం కూడా మీరు ఏం చేస్తారా మీరు? A port number is one of the numerical ID. I will use the word logical numerical ID. Why? A college teacher can change the room number but cannot change the college. Will he change the total college? He can change the room number 10 to room number 12 you can go, but college address remains same. Logical numerical ID where server side program server side program is running. Server side program is running. This is about the port number. So any server side program, if you want to run, you have to ensure how many things? Two things. Number one, in which machine it is running, that is the machine name or machine address, any one of it, plus port number also. So to develop a server side program must bind with what? DNS and port number. So hence, I'm going to conclude, hence every server side program must binds with, binding means must be associated with, certain DNS or what? IP address and what? Port number, certain IP address and DNS. This is called what? Hence every server side program must binds with certain DNS, IP address and what? Port number. This is one you have to go for it. So when a client want to talk to the server side program, client must specify what? To which machine my server side program resides, mission number or IP address plus port number also I must specify. So one more conclusion, every client side program must specify DNS or IP address or port number for communicating with server side program. Are you able to follow? These points you remember, it is more than enough. So I'm going to conclude my sentences. This is the one I'm going to give you. So online students, am I clear about this discussion? Everybody try to respond. This is about my topic. Is it clear? Everybody need to respond. This is about introduction to networking. After that, now I am entering into the another part. What is networking? Purpose of networking, definition of networking. So in network programming, we develop two types of applications. Now I'm entering into development of networking applications. So when you come to the networking applications, to develop any networking application, whether Java or Python, whatever it is. So in network programming, we develop two types of programs. They are, what is the first one? I'll go for what? Development of server-side application. And next is called what? Development of client-side application. Now I am going to enter into the, steps for developing which applications? Server-side applications. Steps for developing server-side applications. Under that, I'll start. Next, I'll go for what? Steps for developing client-side applications. Steps for developing client-side applications. So went out, developing client-side, steps for developing client-side applications. Here I will write it, step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, step number 4. Now you tell me, I want to listen. And if you are talented, so you are multi-talented already, I know. So how multi-talented I want to see. How multi-talented you are. Just I want to test it. So how multi-talented? 1, 3, dash, dash, 6, dash, dash. So I will write 8, dash, dash, 11. Fill up. Come on. 2, next, 4, next, 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 like that. Good. You qualified for the saying this. Number one, to develop any pickling application, we will import the pickle module or not? To develop any CSV application, we will import what? CSV module. To develop any kind of application, to develop thread-based application, are we importing threading module or not? Come on. To develop any type of server-side client-server application, we will import what? That is nothing but I will discuss after a few minutes when this is getting completed. I will enter into this topic. What is that? Just let me initiate it. I will move to the further. For development of networking applications in Python, here I am writing. For developing networking applications in Python, we use a predefined module called socket. So that module, socket contains what? Various functions. What is the module definition? Module is a collection of global variables, function names, class names. Class names completed. What is the definition of class? Class is a collection of data members, methods. Don't know. So class is a collection of data members, methods, constructors, destructor. Why do you use class? To create object, for representing, for defining, programmer defined data type. This is the version. When an opportunity comes about, oops, it's a great achievement. That is, you take any Python student, they don't know oops. They don't know oops. Total Python is designed with oops only. Total Python is designed with oops only. That is an open secret. So how do you know that is a oops, sir? Let's go. Actually, I want to show you that time. I just said to you, see, look at that. I'll go to this place. I'll take a small thing here. Let us go to that. I'm writing some x.py. Go to this. So L is equal to what? List of L dot append off. L dot append off. చూసుకుంటా L dot append off. What they used it? Self. What is self? Self is self. Self is holding the address of my current object. And what is this now? Object. That is a value to pass it. Next go to L dot insert. చూడండి అక్కడ insert. ఎంత beautiful అసలు. Self. What is the self? Address of that L. Index you need to pass. And next is what? Object you need to pass. Where I was explained in Python beginning days when you are wearing school dress time only I explained that. School dress time only you know this. But when I see product based also it is using. When you go to this level of that, any level if we go, it's just a beauty only. Nothing to express that memorable events about Python. So such like that you need to learn. Help of what? List. You go to the place. Here you see. Internally you see append of what? Self comma object. Clear of what? Self, copy of self, count of self, extend of self, count, extend of self. What is that self? You know, it holds current class object. Current class object, I shown you how self will work. What is the self points? 3 points I said. Today, are you remembering self? No, you lost yourself about self. Your self gone. Self gone means your engine will not start. Gone. So, if I am a student, if my sir said like that, daily I will just read that. I'll keep, daily I will read. I'll keep the book in my pillow backside also. Because always my brain and my notes is very much attachable. Once if I get the job, I don't want notes. Why? Daily I will do that only in the company. Until you get the job, it is like a tapasu, you have to do the things. Without getting job, just roaming on the roads, no use, students. No use. So take care by yourself. So coming to the point of it, for developing networking applications in Python, we use which module? Module called socket. Come on here. Come on, start. Import socket module, and other modules if required. Other modules if required. That is number one. Here also what? Import what? Socket module and other modules if required. Both the times. Now, what is the socket? First of all, do you know what is the socket? Do you know English meaning of socket? What is the socket? What is the socket? Come on. What is the socket? Complicated, kada? Come on. Don't know socket? Don't know socket? Socket don't know? See that? What is this now? I am speaking. I am using a microphone, or online students will get a problem. Aditya, used in electrical things. Things, spelling also you see. So coming to the point of it, go to the, okay, Ramakrishna, good. Allows communication between two devices. Sindhu is saying port. Okay, let us keep your definitions. This is your mobile. Because I will take your example so that you will understand perfectly. This is your mobile charging pin you are keeping. This is called what? Your home related plug. It is home related plug. You are going to keep it. And you are keep your charger. This is your pin device. Keeping your charging pin here. So this is going on what? This is sending the power or not? Sending the power. What is this? Is nothing but receiving the power. What is socket? What is socket? This is take a power bank. For example, take a power bank. This is receiving or not? And this power bank thing, I will keep the pin to my mobile. This is called a sender. This is called what? Receiver. So this is called one socket. This is called one more socket. What is a socket? This socket is sending value to other. This socket is receiving. So sockets are there in both the devices. Socket is called what? Sending in one angle, receiving in another angle. So socket is what? A bidirectional communication entity between two ends of the devices. A socket is one of the bidirectional communication object which is used to send and receive the data. So that can be classified as, suppose you are there and myself is there. I am giving the data for you. I am a which socket? Server socket. You are receiving my data. That is called what? Client socket. Socket is there in both the sides. One socket give the data, another socket receives the data. Tomorrow, if you become the teacher, you will give the data. You don't become teacher, okay? You don't become doctor, you don't become teacher. Both of them are danger. If you become a doctor, so that is the problem. If you become a teacher, full forms will come out. You don't become both of them. You become a software engineer. Because if you write a code wrong, compile time error will come. Error will come. That error to solve, person like me will come and solve. So that you will be getting, okay, submitted. If error is coming, that code is not taken, and it is safe. Understood? Seriously watching what to do. Then coming to the point of it, import socket module and other modules if required. Now what I will do? Socket is one of the bidirectional communication between two ends. So how many sockets I will create? Two socket. One socket is for what? Sending. What? Request sending. Another socket is what? Receiving. Receiving socket is called what? Client will send, server will receive. So server socket, client socket. From now onwards, client socket and server socket. So tell me, what is server socket role? Receiving the request, process the request, and gives response back to the client socket. What client socket will do? Send the request, receive the request. So come on now. create an object of socket. Create an object of socket. How do you create an object of list? L1 is equal to list of. How do you create an object of dict? D1 is equal to dict of. How do you create an object of set? S1 is equal to set of. How do you create an object of socket? S1 is equal to ఎందుకు అబ్బాయి మూడు 3 examples I said. Fourth example, if you don't catch it, spontaneity will not be there. Socket of. Socket of is a function present into socket module. Socket dot socket of. What that S is called? Server socket. Create an object of socket at server side program. Server side program. And it is called what? Server socket. Server socket. Create an object of what here? Create an object of socket at which side program? Client side program, and it is called client socket. And it is called what? Client socket. So be careful. Server socket and client socket. And next I'll go for one more thing. Clear up? Now, once you create a socket, this is called which socket? Server socket. Server socket qualities are different. Client socket qualities are different. I am a server socket. So server socket is binding with what? Naresh Technologies. Client socket is done with what? Joined with the institute. So every server socket, I'm going to write it. Every server socket must bind with certain DNS and what? Certain DNS or IP address and what? Port number. I bind with Naresh IT room number 1. Understood that? Next, done. After that, next what you need to do? One more thing. Every server socket must be configured. This is an important. See, when you take this WebEx, they have given certain type of link capacity. The server side which is allocated for me is for 500 room link capacity is given by the commercial organization. Like WebEx is one of the meeting app which is providing some link capacity. Link capacity they are providing. You want 100 students link you want, or 50 students link you want, or you want 500 students link you want. So in similar manner, when I am writing any server socket to be configured to communicate with how many clients at a time, that you need to configure. If I don't use this configuring step, it will not communicate with the clients. That is a drawback for non-commercial web applications. For example, Gmail, you take it. Is there any restriction that only 2 people can communicate, or millions and unlimited number of people can communicate? Unlimited number of people can communicate. So I'm writing every server socket must be configured in such a way that to how many clients server socket can communicate. This is the very important. Every server socket must be configured in such a way that to how many clients server socket can communicate. This is the very important. Are you getting my point? If I don't do this, you cannot communicate with any clients. Online students, so I'm concentrating on my full communication with the subject. You need to get me properly here. Next, after that, it is ready now. Next, after that, what you will do? Every server socket must accept the request of what? Client socket. Accept. For configuring configured. For configuring is concerned, some function is there. For binding is concerned, one function is there. Yes, done. It is accepted. After accepting, next what he will do? Every server socket must do what? Must read accepted data. First, when you ask a doubt, my mind will accept your doubt. I will read your doubt. When a postman coming and giving an ATM card, first he will open the ATM card or he accept it first. Accepting. After that, I'll open the cover and I will read out what is there in the cover. Correct? Beginning only will open it, read up. First he will do what? Accept. After that, I will read. Must read the client socket data, and comma, I'll do what? Process and gives what? Response to what? Response to whom? Client socket. Next, step number 7, I will write it. Step number 7. This process will be continued until client stops sending the request. Server socket. Every server socket repeats. Every server socket repeats step number 5 and what? Step number 6. Every server socket repeats step number 5 and 6 until client socket stops sending requests. Clear? This is just like a dialogue between the two friends. Conversation between two friends. Next, step number 3. Sorry, it is looking like a conversation, but for us, nothing is remembering. Because you are not reading. If you polish your shoe daily, it will shine like a sun. If you polish your shoe 2 months once, 3 months once, they will think that where is this shoe? So you have to polish your skills daily. Then only you will be getting the subject. Without polishing, either you or me or anybody, no subject will come. That is definitely correct or not? Correct or not? So come to the point, but create an object of socket at client side. I'm coming to client side. Create an object of socket at client side. It is called what? Client socket. Come on. If I want to communicate with what? Server socket. First, what should I do? If you want to communicate with me, what should I do first? Huh? What is that? What is that? What should I do? If a Python program want to communicate with the Oracle database, what you must do? Connection. Here also same. Directly came to my class. First you communicated with the mission or not, Naresh IT, then they diverted to my class called port number. So every client socket must get a connection from, must get a connection from whom? Server socket. By passing DNS or what? IP address and what? Port number. Every client socket must get a connection from server socket by passing DNS, IP address and port number. Next step. What is the next step? Okay, connection is established. Next, what he will do? Next? Every server socket must send send a request to whom? Server socket. Beginning, you may not able to judge the statement, but after judging the statement, that is connecting to each other. Understood that? Next, send a request. Once you send the request, where it will go? acceptance will be done. Next, read the client socket data, process it and give the response. The moment when you give the response, every client socket, every server socket must receive the response from server socket. That's all. Server socket. Step number 6. What? Repeat. Every client socket must repeat. Step number 4. And what? Step number 4, comma what? Step number 5. Until all requests completed. Completed. This is about what? Client side things. You will send a doubt to me. I will accept your doubt. I will read and I process and I will give the response. You will receive my answer from me. And again, you will send your things. Again, I will receive sending, receiving. This will be done until you complete your request and response model. Clear or not clear? This is called online students. Is it clear? This is clear? Response important. Done. Now I am entering into modules. Which module is used for development of networking application? Socket. What is the socket? Module. Once a module is coming, you have to be relaxed. Why? My sir already said module is a collection of global variables, function names, class names. Let us start. Functions in where? Socket module. Functions in socket module. So coming to the point of it, functions in socket module. So functions in socket module. So this one, how to develop your own module? I said. How to develop your own module? I said, correct? Do you remember steps are how many? Everything also. Define. I'll go to what? 3 steps I said. 6 p.m. modules here. Breaking points. Whatever you say. Steps for development of programmer defined. Define global variable. Define functions. Define classes. 3 steps. And I used all of them in my classes. Right? Whenever it is there, a folder will be created. This is the one already explained. From there we came to this stage. When I was in engineering, I asked in when a question in second year we have a C language. When my sir is explaining header file yesterday, daily will write stdio.h, daily will write stdio. I got bored about it. I said, sir, I want to develop my own header file, sir. I said, don't do overaction, he said to me. Said, get out from the class. I said, sir, I don't do any overaction, sir. I will sit in the class, he said. He also laughed at me and he said, okay, sit, don't ask such questions, he said. Header file also is unable to, because that time there was no proper professor to teach C language also. Those people are what done PGDCA, some diploma he did and he came to us. He's an outsourcing faculty he brought. He is teaching C language for us. That's why we asked so many doubts to him. He is not a regular faculty in OU. We used to play with him like anything. Sir, how to develop header file? Why you are doing all these things? He called me, don't disturb in my class because others are feeling negative about me. Don't ask these questions, I said. So he said directly to me. And the compulsory I will ask that doubt. Because I want how to develop my header file. How to develop your own module? I said or not? If I teach C language, how to develop header file also I will tell you. But your faculty said how to develop header file? No. Even header files also not taught properly. Printf, scanf, CLR, SCR, gettys, strcmp, strcat, strcpy, strlen. 9 functions only they said. Out of so many functions. C language over. What C in my Python you take how many functions so far? Just you take a book and write it. How many functions? You cannot imagine. If you tell all the functions in interview, they'll say, you are great, they will say. And NumPy pandas, if I go, sir, how do you remember all these things, sir, you will say. That is called subject. 24 hours reading only. Up to 11:30 you have to read. And people should think, is a student, a research scholar, like that. A parent should say, please don't read that much, you will get tension. Parents has to say, don't read it too much, will become. And parents are fearing to these days to tell to children, please read means they will shout on the parents. Like that situation I am observing. Okay, anyhow, come. Functions in socket model. There are rough work, I will write it, rough work. Socket model functions, threading model functions, CSV model functions, sys model functions, pickle model functions. So many number of models functions, threading model functions, Oracle DB model functions, MySQL model DB functions, so many things. So I'll take it rough work here. Look at that. Online students carefully understand. To write the coding, concept important, plus what? Library important. So first function, I'll take socket off. First function socket off. So here, next function is I will write directly I will write it here. First function I will write it. Socket off. I'll explain. What is the socket off? I will explain. Next I will go for it. Next function I will take it. Another function I will take it. Next function I will take it. Second function I will write it. Here I will write it. Bind function I will take it. Bind function I will take it. Next function I will take it. Another function. Third one I will take it. Accept. No. Listen function I will take it. Listen function. So next fourth function I will take it. Fourth function I will take it. Accept function. I said. Next is called what? Fifth function I will take it. So this is called what? Accept. Next function I will take it. RECV with what? Decode function I will take it. Next function I will take it. Next function. Sixth function I will take it. Send function with encode function I will take it. Next seventh function I will take it. Seventh function. Connect function I will take it. That's all. These are the functions present in the place. So you may have a doubt how to remember all these things, sir. For remembering all these things, you need to do what? Reading. Morning, today, I went out at 5:30 morning. Just morning, last 3-4 days onwards, I'm going at 5:30 just to walk in my colony. One of my friend is walking back in near to that one park is there. He's walking back. Generally, everybody walk forward. I looked at him. Hey, what is this? Is just the light morning is coming. So who is this walking back? So something walking back. First time I seen. Maybe you know that. I seen first time. When I look at that guy, who is that guy? Means I just found that I know him. I asked him. He is Anil. Anil, why are you walking back? He said, brain will improve. Said brain remembrance power improve. He's a contractor in our colony. He said brain power will improve. That indicates what? His problem. So where he studied, I don't know. So I said, okay. So brain, when you walk back, I don't know. Maybe he said correct. Maybe he is dead somewhere. So we are not running backside. We are not moving back anytime. No, but we are remembering now. Maybe it is true, but I read in one exercise. So, okay, let me complete. My topic is completing. I'll take, there is one exercise which is said by scientifically also. At the end of the class, I will tell you that. And that is only for boys. That exercise is only for boys, not for girls. For boys only, I will tell, do that exercise if possible. Girls, you don't do it. Okay, now I'll move to the further. Come to the socket. Online students are carefully listening. Socket. I will use at which side? See, I will create an object of socket at server side, create an object at which side? So I will create syntax. Tell me, what is that? SOCK OBJ is equal to socket dot socket of, socket dot socket of. This will create, it is used for, this function is used for, this function is used for creating an object of, creating an object of what? Socket. Creating an object of socket either at what? Client side or at server side, or at a server side. Understood that? Well, so that I will create whatever object you like it, you can create. Depends on your code. If I write the same statement at client side, how to recognize a client side or server side? Easily you can decide. So that part I will take care. This statement in the anyhow in the coding part, I am going to write it. If you want example, there itself, you can have it. What is that? S is equal to socket dot socket of. Filter function returns an object of filter. Map function returns an object of map. Oracle DB dot connect function returns an object of connection. Connection object dot cursor of returns an object of cursor. Socket dot socket of returns an object of socket. Socket is a class. Socket is a module. Socket is a function. Socket S is called class. Present into socket module. If somebody asks what is socket, you have to ask a question. Are you asking definition of socket? Are you asking class called socket? Are you asking module called socket? Are you asking function called socket? You will say nothing, I am asking, taking offer letter and go. So this many clarity you are asking, that is called subject. Understood? So this socket object, if I create it which side? Client side, that is a client socket. If I create an object socket at server side, it is called server socket. Okay. So coming to the point of it, here I will entering to here. Now I am entering into S is equal to socket dot socket of. Done. Bind function I am going to take up. So Rajniti is asking the same doubt from last half an hour onwards. He is asking. This was already explained in the classes. What is the difference between class and data type? I already said in my classes, all Python classes are called data types. And I already very clearly mentioned data, because if you disturb the class like that, it's a problem for me, because this was already explained. Oops, go to classes, notes, point number 4, classes concept. Point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, point number 4. Without opening, I am telling point number also. You can understand how Python is there in our brain. So coming to the point of it, in Python programming, all class names are treated as what? If you read my notes, everything, you are just a king in the subject. King, that's all. So there is nobody can debate with you. Nobody can debate. So coming to the point of it. Now I'm going to enter into the bind function. I'm going to enter. Rajnit, are you okay? So you asked the same doubt half an hour back. Again, you are asking. That's why I'm unable to see your doubt again and again. So I clarified your doubt, explained also. Okay, right, done. So if you read my notes, the type of doubts will not come. Beginning, so many doubts are there. When my class is going on, the doubts will disappear. Because clean and green is there in your brain. If you read and come. If you don't read and come, total dust is there in the brain. Come. Bind function. This function is used. Syntax. I will go for it. What is this now? Socket object dot bind of. I should pass in the form of tuple. I need to pass it. What should I pass it? DNS or what? IP address, comma. What I need to pass? Port number I need to pass. Tuple format, this is in the string, and port number in the form of string I need to pass in the form of tuple I need to pass it. There I am writing. This function is used for This function is used for binding the server side program, binding the server side program with a certain DNS oblique what IP address, certain DNS or IP address used for binding the server side program with a certain DNS or IP address and what port number. Example, if I take it, yes dot, already there is a S. Yes dot, what is this now? Bind of what I should do? Localhost, comma, what is this now? 8888. Some port number you take on your own. So take it here and don't think that only 4 numbers. I will give you some introduction to the port number, what to give. Right now, don't worry. So this is going to be called what? 127.127.0.0.1. If my server side machine is running in some other port number, I can give that port number. This is called what? Server side related. Next, listen. Listen function. What is the use of this? Example. Syntax. Server socket object dot. That is called a socket object dot. Listen, LISTEN of, I should say what? Numerical integer value. Numerical integer value. What is the use of this function? As we said that here it is written. So every server side program must be configured in such a way that to how many clients server socket can communicate. So this function is used for configuring. Here I am writing. This function is used for configuring. Here I am writing configuring to how many clients, configuring in such a way that to how many clients server socket can communicate. This is about the topic name called what? Listen. Example, if I come to that, yes dot, listen of, I'll say something like a 2. Actually, this is one of the limitation. As on today, no application is running in the command prompt. This application is supposed to run in the command prompt only, not in the browser set. To go to the browser, I need to go for Django framework. Even in Java also same. Networking in Java is totally outdated. So listen of 2. If I don't write listen of this function, that will be made as what? Dumb application at the server side. Okay, accepting. Next, very, very important. This is a heart for socket programming. What is the use of this socket? As we discussed it, every server socket must accept the request from client. So I will write syntax. See students, when you receive, I will write it what? Socket object dot accept of. Socket object dot accept of. What it returns? It returns 2 things. When I accept any letter from somebody, I will come to know how many things? 2 things. One is data of my client, plus from which address that is also coming, I will understand. So when I am accepting, total client side object is there with me. The data of client is coming through client socket object plus client socket address also will come. It returns variable 1, comma, variable 2. 2 things it will return. What is the variable 1, variable 2? First, let me write it. This function is used for accepting what request? Client side program request. Accept function. This function returns 2 values. Returns. I'll write directly what is that values. Returns Accepting client side request is nothing but it's a little tricky point. When you send a doubt to me, I will get your doubt through your object only. When you ask a doubt, your object will come to me first. Through your object, I will read your data. Accept returns client side object, client socket object, client socket object, and client socket object address. Client socket object address. Client socket object address. In simple word, when somebody send a mail to me, I will get the data of the mailer plus I will get from whom I got it. Like that you can understand. So when I say accept, so what is this here? Here VAR1 contains what? Contains what? Client socket object plus and VAR2 contains client socket address. Client socket address. Did you understand? It is nothing but what? A function returns more than one value. You can happily write as what here? Just VAR. VAR of 0 contains what? Client socket. VAR1 contains what? Address. A function returns more than one value. First value hold it in 0th index. Second value available in the second index. Sir, where you said that? Go to the place. 6 p.m. Functions. Approach number 4. Approach number 4. Example 4.py. Under that, return ABC, return KVR, return sum OP RES. Here REC single line assignment. Tuple REC of 0, 1, 2, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Why I said that? For this type of purpose only. For everything, there is a long reason is there. Anything you do, there is a long reason is required. That's why plan today for tomorrow. Plan today for today only. No. Understood that? So when you that is called planning. Every plan should have lot of things required. Even tomorrow, when you get a salary in a month, don't complete in a 20th day only. You preserve for what? Next 6 months. Like that, you need to plan. Understand? You're thinking, first I should get no job na sir. First read the notes. Automatically job will come compulsory. First we need to have skill. Once skill is there, who will deny your skill? Correct or not? Skill is important. Okay. Next I'll go to next 48. So now coming to RECV with a decode. Accepted. What is this example now? Example I will go to it. Example I am going to. So this example I will take it. What is this example, students? Here I will write it. Yes dot accept returns what? 2 values. What are the 2 values? Client socket OBJ, comma what? Client socket ADDR. 2 things are coming. So at my server side, what is available? Client socket is available. Client socket address also available. Next, okay, socket object is available. What should I do? I received a letter. Socket object, I got it. In the socket object, what should I do? Receive the data. I will use which function? RECV. From where? Socket. Which will give the data in the form of what? Bytes. Bytes it will give you in the bytes end-to-end encryption. By default, it will come in bytes. That bytes I will convert into STR format by using which function? Decode. If I send my data, what data will be with me? I have 14 varieties of data I have. That data I will convert into what type? STR. That STR I will use which function? Encode. Encode will convert into what? Bytes and send it. Did you understand? So, come on. RECV. What is the RECV? Syntax is what? Come on. Online students, are you there? RECV. What is that RECV? Client socket object dot RECV. RECV. When you are saying RECV, one of the drawback is what in this libraries, when you are receiving, you have to specify the size. Actually, how end user knows the size, or how client knows, how the programmer knows how much big data you are getting. That's why they said to you that they said to you that they set some limits. I suggest you is by default size is what 1024. It will be doubled. You can specify doubling 2048, 2048, 2048. It will be doubled again 40 what 96. Like that you can go on doubling. Are you following this? 1024 plus 1024 is equal 2048. 2048 plus 2048 is called 4096. మీరు దాన్ని విచిత్రంగా చూస్తే నాకు భయం అవుతుంది ఫస్ట్. You see in a such a way that okay like that. If you keep like that, I'll get tension first of all. So at certain stage you should not get any explanation first of all. So this is called what? RECV. Returns which data? Bytes data. Bytes data you will get it. In other way, what is the another syntax? Another syntax, str data. Another thing is what you will do. What you will do. Bytes data you cannot get it. str data you need to convert. Bytes data. Bytes data. Dot what? Decode. Decode is a function present in where? Bytes object. Decode. When you say decode, you will get it in where? str. In other way around, you can use like this. What is the another way around, students? This data, you write as it is. You write as it is. Dot what you will do? Decode directly you do it. You will get which data? str data directly. str data directly. Later you can convert. Later you can convert in what way? Integer or float or double or what you want, you can do it. So this function is used for receiving the data from where? Client side program at where? Server side program. This is number one. And we can also use see, look at the diagram. I'm using client side data is received at which side? I can use server side response received at which side? So RECV function, I can use it in how many ends? Both client and server. We can also use and we can also use at which side? Client side program. Client side program. Client side program. This client side program for what? Receiving server side program response. Server side program response. So RECV I will use at the both the sides. Come to what next? Send. See the diagram? Send. I can use it which side? Sending request time, and I can use it server side response time also. So RECV and send will be used at where? Both the sides I'll use. Bind, listen, accept at which side? Server side. Socket creation and connect at which side? Client side. Out of 7, some of them are at server side, some of them are at client side, some of them are both the sides. So send, simple. What does send says? Syntax. Come on. What is this now? Socket object. Which socket object? Client socket object. Why client socket object? I'll tell you. Because the accept function says what? Client socket, I got it. Through servers, client socket I will receive. Through client socket only I will send the data back to that. So client socket object dot send off. Which data? str data. Suppose if we have what data? Non-str data. For example, non-str data is there with me. I have non-str data which I want to send. That non-str data you have to convert into which type? Bytes. So we don't have the direct function. Where is the function for converting into bytes? Encode. Encode function present in where? STR. Convert the non-STR data into which type? STR. STR of which data? Non-STR data. Non-STR data means list data, string data, anything. Convert into which type? STR. Do what? Dot what? Encode of. Beautiful. Encode of. Encode of function present in where? STR. Non-STR data converted into what? STR. Dot what? That is prepared what data? Bytes data. That bytes data is the parameter to whom? Send. Send. So this function is used for sending the request to server side program, from which side program? Client side program. So coming to the next, and we can also use at. This function is used for sending the request to the server side program from client side program. We can also use it server side program for sending what? Response to client side program. That's all. That is called send. That is called send. Are you following? Following or not? Bouncing. Following or bouncing up? If it is bouncing, no problem, because it is already outdated. If you learn it, better, because improving new thing with coding always plus for you. So coming to the connect syntax. What is the syntax? Here I can simply say it is outdated, don't learn. But I don't want to escape from the field. I want to tell you this. So coming to this, what is this now? Socket object dot what? Connect. To whom I am connecting? To the server side program where it was available. IP address, comma what? Port number. And I am writing. This function is used for obtaining the connection from server side program by which side program? Client side program. From client side program. There I will write example. I will write it. How do I write the example? Simple. I will write it. S is equal to socket dot socket of S dot connect of I will write what now? Localhost. I'll write what? 888, and this returns what? Connection is established. Once a connection is established, I can send the request and all those things. This is related to what? All the functions. Functions present in which module? Socket module. So tomorrow class when I come back, I'll go for the examples. Complete example. How chatting example done? Chatting example. You know chatting example? How chatting example is developed, I will explain. So chatting example, because you like it very well. How to develop that, I will explain that in the class. So tomorrow don't miss it. I'll stop the class. Now it is 7 o'clock 59 minutes. So అట్లా కూర్చున్నాం ఇట్లా డక్కు పొజిషన్ లో కూర్చున్నాం. స్టాండప్. వాట్ ఇస్ ద సాకెట్? సాకెట్. మనం ఎవరో ఏమనుకుంటారు అనుకుని మనం ఎప్పుడు ఫీల్ అవ్వకూడదమ్మా. మనకు సబ్జెక్ట్ వస్తుందా లేదా చూసుకోవాలి. వీళ్ళంతా నీతో పాటు ఉండరు. రేపు జాబ్ వచ్చిందంటే నువ్వు ఏ కారులో వెళ్తూ ఉంటావు అసలు. వీళ్ళు చూస్తారు, నువ్వు ఎవరో తెలియదు వీళ్ళకు, నేను ఎవరో తెలియదు. బట్ మన 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 Silent important. What is a socket? ఉత్తగా అట్ట మాట్లాడుకుంటే ఏమవుతుంది చెప్పు? వాట్ ఈస్ సాకెట్? చెప్పలేవా? చెప్పలేవు? అమ్మా బాలేదా? ఆరోగ్యం బాలేదా? సో come on, now come to the point of it. Now I'll go for this. Socket is a predefined module. Socket is a bidirectional communication object existing in both the client side as well as server side for sending and receiving the data. Where I can accept it, I can configure it, I can encode it, I can decode it, I can connect to it, I can receive it, I can do everything. That is called socket. Okay. So tomorrow class, when I come back, I'll tell you the complete coding. Okay, don't miss it. I'll start that. So online students, now time is up. I'll not have any online doubts. Completely lot of time I took it. So tomorrow class, I'll go for the coding for you. Don't miss it. Thank you, students. All the best. Online students, no doubts class. Already time is over.